Hello, PJA. This is Mr. Rosenberg, and I'm just going to give you a little demonstration of Google Sheets and how the charting and graphing works for your science class. Spreadsheets are your friend. They could be a little intimidating, but once you understand kind of how they work, it makes manipulating data and seeing relationships between data much easier. So once you're in a spreadsheet, they're organized by cells, rows, and columns. So you have rows, one, and it just keeps going forever. And then you have columns A all the way through, and it will just keep going. If you want to keep going, it'll go forever the other direction. It just goes AA, BB, CC, and so on. So once you have your data set up, in this case, I just have random data organized by dates, number of doodads, number of things, the temperature, level of this, and the other thing, because it's just a random data set. What you could do now, you could highlight, and you're going to have to get good at selecting multiple things at once. Do that with your control key and your shift key. But if I just highlight all of them and go down here to this explore button, what software will do is it kind of looks at it and tries to figure out what you want. And the trouble is, I could look here and see these different graphs, but it's hard when you're looking at all the data at once to kind of figure out what kind of graph you need. If you click more, it'll give you even more graphs to kind of mess around with. If you like a graph, you can click this little plus button and it will throw it on top of the data. It's a good place to start. And you might look at this and be like, this is really hard to figure out. There's just too much going on. They have all my columns here. It's organized by date. It's kind of what it thinks it wants. The scale is 0 to 40 because it kind of looks at the numbers that are there, and you might think to yourself, this is not going to help me a whole lot. So you can click this three little dots. That's your menu button, and I can copy, so I can move it over to its own sheet. Well, I'll show you how to do that later. I'm just going to delete it because this is not what I want. So what I encourage you to do is try to look for some relationships. So in this case, I'm trying to figure out the number of doodads and the date. And then what is affecting, because obviously the number of these things has increased from 8 to 29. Why? Why does that happen? So I could start by looking at maybe the temperature. So I'm holding down my, I don't have a Chromebook. I'm not doing this on a Chromebook, so I think that's the control key. And you can see how I could highlight 3 columns at once. Now, what you'll see if I add this, now we might be able to see some relationships in this chart. All right, so this is the number of doodads starts here and it goes up, and the temperature stays relatively the same. So I think I could then infer from this that the temperature has nothing to do with anything in this case. I could click on this and I could say move it to its own sheet. And what that does in Google Sheets, down here, you have just like more pages to your spreadsheet. So you get spreadsheet here, you go to your chart, and I can look at that and be like, you know what, that's not going to help me. So what I could do, I can keep exploring, and like maybe I can look at the level of this compared to the number of doodads. Hit my explore button. Ooh. Now that is looking pretty good to me. All right, so if I could infer some stuff from this. So here is the level of this stays the same, and the number of doodads has gone up. Once again, no results. This isn't actually a result because I could now move this over to its own sheet, so I could have 2 different sheets here. And realize that, okay, it looks like the temperature doesn't really affect this, and the level of this doesn't affect the number of doodads, which is an actual result. So I'm going to keep looking, and I'm going to look at these things here. Hit my explore button and see if I can determine a relationship. So now this is telling me something. I said the number of doodads, so I could say, okay, so the number goes up, and when this number of doodads has gone up, the number of the other thing has gone down. So that looks like there is a relationship there, and I could make some type of scientific inference that As the other thing goes down, the number of doodads goes up, and I have some data to back it up. So that, I'm going to move this over to its own sheet. And now I might want to mess around with this chart. There are, and you probably can't see them, it's hidden in this window, but above this, there are 4 or 5 buttons say copy, edit, publish, and download the chart. I'm going to click edit the chart, and I have the opportunity to kind of monkey around with the chart a little bit. And this is something you're going to want to do. You could change the chart type. This is a line chart, but if you wanted to smooth it out the lines, you can. If you wanted, you can do kind of a combo chart. So the number of doodads goes up, and you can see that the trend line for the number of other thing goes down. Kind of a striking. You have all kinds of pie. Not really going to help you out too much, right? So there's some of these that will not help you out a little bit. There's a lot of charts available. I'm just going to stick with the old line chart. I can monkey around with the axis. I could. So you could play with some of these a little bit. You could switch the columns around. I also have this opportunity to customize the style, which will give me a border. I happen to like the axes. Where are you? So I could change the title right here, and I can look at the series. I can make the line thicker, which kind of helps sometimes. I think maybe even a nice thick line here. I could change. I can make it a point size, which would pop up if you want to see the actual points of data or not. Decide what you want to do. I could have data labels. I have a trend line. Where's the trend? The legend, you could change your axis, your font size, your grid lines and ticks. Okay, so I could look at major counts and kind of change my count for my axes, all right, which helps, especially if you have these data sets that are kind of very spread out number-wise. So that's where you can change all that is in the customize setting. You can add major ticks, minor ticks in your data set. Okay, so that's going to take a little bit of experimentation from your end. And once you have this, then you can right-click and you can save this, or you could download this chart as in file. You could download it as a PDF file. All right, and then publish it. When you are looking at these things, again, I want to show you one last thing here. Yeah, maybe temperature, so you can kind of hit the Explore button. If you're here and you click these 3 little dots, you hit Edit the Chart, all those menus come up there on the right as well. All right, and you could always edit them. You could delete this whole chart, say I don't need this, and experiment. So it's not, it takes a little bit of data manipulation, but it really does work well. In Sheets, you could rename these sheets. So that I would say doodads, and other things. So that when you're looking at these sheets, you know what you're looking at. It doesn't have sheet 1 to chart 5, and you have no idea what that is. This could be your raw data. All right, so that's a really nice thing to be able to do. So you can move back and forth between these charts or the different spreadsheets, all right, as you go. And you can really select just a few things. I could select here and have these things, and it will graph just those. So you don't have to do the entire column, the entire row as well. But that's basically how it works. Hope you enjoy it. Experiment.